guys?
Greetings.
Greetings. We're back again after 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Missed us? It's alright. You know how we feel. Anyway, today we're gonna review Thor! Finally! After all this time.
First big superhero movie of the year.
Yep. And I think I gotta say, this is a great way to start the summer blockbuster season.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So Thor, in case you really don't know who Thor is the God of Thunder from Marvel Comics. And it's directed by Kenneth Branagh.
Shakespearean director Kenneth Branagh.
Yes,
Yeah.
very
Very Brits.
very
prim and proper.
Yeah, and it got a very Oscar caliber to it.
Yeah.
You've got him of Hamlet and Much Ado About Nothing fame.
Yep.
So surprisingly, an odd choice.
Yeah. It's kind of different, but at the same time, he was a Thor fan. Apparently, he's been a Thor fan for a long time.
Right.
And his approach was he wanted to deal with the issues between Thor and Odin, Thor and Loki, which are very Shakespearean.
Right.
So I guess when you look at it that way, it's not that much of an odd choice.
Yeah, and look, he has done some fairly commercial movies, which were not that successful, but they were actually critically acclaimed. Dead Again, right, which starred him and Emma Thompson, his ex-wife, and Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, which wasn't
with De Niro.
with De Niro, which wasn't as for me, which wasn't that good.
It wasn't.
But I liked Dead Again, and I did like Much Ado About Nothing.
Yeah.
It helps that Kate Beckinsale.
First time we saw Kate Beckinsale.
Yeah.
Oh, such a lovely, pretty hero.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So he was. I think he was a good choice.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, and it makes you just wonder, like, wow, why not? Why now, right?
Yeah.
He should have been doing blockbusters ages ago.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it's not really his sensibilities.
Might be.
So of course you want to talk. We're not here really talk about the director completely, but I'm sure you want to know about Chris Hemsworth in the character here. I think he's pretty good.
Yeah. Well, most of us know that his first big break was as the father of James Kirk in the reboot of the Star Trek franchise. But here he looks completely different. They bulked him up, turned him blonde, gave him a blonde beard, and he looks very Scandinavian, just like Thor should be. And I thought he was great. Again, they picked another Australian actor to play a big husky superhero,
right.
and I think he pulls it off. And he's got good chemistry with Natalie Portman, who plays his love interest, Dr. Jane Foster, who used to be a nurse in the comics, but since it's 2011 already, you gotta elevate her a bit.
Make her a scientist.
Yeah. So and I really liked him. I thought his timing was good. He had funny lines everywhere. If I'm not mistaken, they got J.M. Straczynski as one of the writers.
I think story-wise,
Story-wise, okay. So there were a lot of funny lines in this movie. Surprisingly, I wasn't expecting Thor to have funny lines. You expect that from Iron Man because Downey's handling it, but here it was just all over the place. You can't help but laugh.
Yeah. I mean, for me, Hemsworth was it's a star turn for him.
Yeah,
a star turn, and he's a pretty much an unknown quality, and man, he just delivers. He plays the gruff and tough warrior here, but surprisingly likable despite his arrogance. It's there, and the guy has a charisma about him. That'll get people, draws people, the audience to him. He had it. He pulled it off here. Yeah, but with regard to those lines, I think my favorite here,
bring me a horse.
I cracked me up, man. When he goes into the pet store, he goes, "Fetch me a horse." And then when he goes in the pet store, he goes, "We only have cats and dogs here. Well, get me one that's big enough to ride on." That was hilarious. Yeah, some really good lines here. Even the references. We got a Xena and a Jackie Chan.
I know.
Some good stuff here.
Yeah, I like that. They still have the Warriors 3 with Ray Stevenson from Rome as Volstagg. He was perfect as Volstagg. Hogan and Fandral still. I like the inspired choice of having Idris Elba as Heimdall.
Yeah.
Black dude, big rough black dude from The Office and some other past movies like The Losers. But I thought he was quite good as Heimdall, as the guard of the Bifrost bridge. Of course, Anthony Hopkins as Odin was perfect.
Yeah, pitch perfect.
Yeah,
he was, you know, he's the type of guy who could like have that kind of gravitas.
Yeah,
to be, you know, to be Odin.
Yep.
You know, the king of all the gods, of all the Asgardian gods.
Yeah. Even with a tiny role for Rene Russo as his wife Freya, I thought she was pretty good at it. And I was surprised that when I found out who Laufey was, the Lord of the Frost Giants is Confiore.
Yeah.
And right now, if you guys are watching the Borgias, he's Cardinal Del Rovere.
He's there.
It's so different from him, because usually you see Confiore, he's always a character actor. He's usually a good guy. Sometimes he's a bad guy.
Yeah.
But not dressed in blue makeup and acting all sneaky and having ice powers. So I was pleasantly surprised to find out that Confiore was Laufey.
Yeah. I think him, and I love the design of the Frost Giants.
Yeah.
Right. You know how they can mold ice weapons and all. Yeah, they were, you know, fairly intimidating. So they did a great design there.
Yeah.
Actually, the whole look of
Asgard. Yeah.
Oh.
And it, you know, like in the trailer, that when Thor tells Jane Foster that, you know, what we know as science or as magic, they consider science. It had a good intersection when Heimdall operates the Bifrost Bridge. You really see the mix of science and magic there. That it could work, you know. Theoretically, it might work, you know. Of course, you have to stretch your imagination. This is based on a comic book, but still, you know, there's enough there that you make you think it's a good adaptation. It's an excellent adaptation of the comic. Admittedly, I haven't been a Thor fan. I haven't been a collector of the Thor comics, but from what I have read, I have seen him in the Ultimates. This was very, very true to the essence of what Thor was. Stan Lee and Jack Kirby's Thor.
Yeah, because when you look at the Jack Kirby Thor, it doesn't look very medieval.
Yeah.
It's very kind of high-tech looking.
Yeah.
And
of course, do Jack Kirby dots and stuff. It has to look high-tech.
Yeah. And with Warren Ellis, when he did Thor for a while, the way he explained this Guardians, and he did this in Planetary, is that yes, they seem like gods, but it's just basically it looks like they're using magic, but it's just really science that human beings can't understand.
Yeah.
That's the whole theory around that.
Of course.
And it's, you know, and they make reference to that here, which is excellent.
There were also references a bit to some of the stuff that Walt Simonson did back in the 80s.
Casket of Winters.
Yeah, Walt and Louise Simonson, they had a great run on Thor back in the day, and if you get to your local comic book store or a fully booked or Power Books, one of those places, look for Thor Visionaries, because Walt Simonson's got 3 volumes. That's how influential he was to the mythology of Thor.
Yeah.
And well, there was one little bitty thing that I watched it with a friend, and she said, "Why isn't he sleeveless?" Like, oh yeah, okay, yeah. That in that sense, that's not the most accurate Thor from the comics.
Yeah.
But it's more, you know, they had to modernize him a bit more of a hybrid of the original Thor from the Marvel Universe of the 60s and the Ultimate Thor of the more recent variety.
Yeah, he barely wore his helmet.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
it was okay.
Just at the start.
Yeah, but that was okay. It was, you know.
I'm glad they kept the cape. I'm very happy they kept the cape. I thought it brought, you know, it was regal. He looked mighty, like he should be. He's Thor.
Yeah.
And we haven't even gotten to Loki yet. Tom Hiddleston was amazing.
He hit it, man. He hit his mark. You know, he plays manipulative, he plays cunning here. Truly the Lord of Mischief.
Yeah.
He pulls it off. Unknown quality.
Bravo, Tom Hiddleston.
Yeah. I mean, I've never heard of the guy.
Me neither.
You know?
Me neither. Yeah.
Good work by this guy.
He looked gaunt and sneaky like Loki does in the comics, especially when he puts on the helmet with the big horns. He looks the part.
Yeah.
You know, when he sits in the throne of Asgard with the big staff.
Yeah. They hit it. They really got it there.